Hey YouTube, it's Rob L. Today I'm coming at you with my Van Halen albums ranked worst to best. So here's my list, and I would love to see your list down in the comments. Oh, and by the way, the decision-making process basically included determining which albums I play the most and which ones I just couldn't live without. Let's begin. Okay, coming in last place at number 12 is Van Halen 3 from 1998. I do not like this album. Don't get me wrong, I think Gary Cherone is great in Extreme, but he does not fit well here. It almost sounds like he's straining his voice if you really listen to the songs. And I hate to say this, but Eddie's playing and the music overall is extremely generic. If another band had come out with this album, it might have been okay, but as a Van Halen album, I'm sorry, it's extremely mediocre. Okay, coming in at number 11 is 1982's Diver Down. Again, I think this is an extremely mediocre album. It's a cover album. Pretty Woman is a really good cover, and I like that song. But beyond that, I would never pick this up and listen to it. I would probably never put it on my iPod. And that's all I really have to say about it. Okay, coming in at number 10 is 2012's A Different Kind of Truth. This is obviously the album where Wolfgang Van Halen played bass. And by the way, I think he does an outstanding job. I do like She's the Woman and a few different tunes from this. In many cases, they were older demos that they redid for this album. Not terrible, just I didn't click with it. Okay, coming up next at number 9 is 1995's Balance. This is the last of the Sammy records and the record right before they broke up. Some people claim you can hear the turmoil in the music. I'm not sure about that, but this is my least favorite Sammy album. Again, I think it's kind of generic. I think Eddie's work on it is okay, but I don't think it compares to the other Sammy albums. If any other band had put this album out, I think it would have been highly acclaimed, but because it's a Van Halen album, I don't think it quite reaches the level of expectations. Again, not terrible, just mediocre. Okay, coming in at number 8 is 1991's For Unlawful Carnival Knowledge. I have to admit that over the years this album has really grown on me, and now I listen to it on a regular basis. Ironically, what kind of got me more into it was listening to Van Halen live Right Here, Right Now. The live versions of the songs from this album are really good on that, and it just turned me on to the album. Okay, coming in at number 7 is 1988's OU812. I think a lot of people don't like this album because of the production. They don't like Eddie's guitar tone. They don't like the drums. But I think there are so many great songs on this album that it really is a classic. The only song I don't like is Apolitical Blues. I think they could have left that off. There are some great rockers on this album and a couple of good ballads, and I almost look at it as like an experimental album. Okay, coming in at number 6 is 1980's Women and Children First. This was a tough one because I look at this album as a companion album to Fair Warning. And in my mind, they're both almost on equal footing, but I think Fair Warning edges it out slightly, and that's why that's next. Okay, so now we're at the top 5. Coming in at number 5 is 1981's Fair Warning. Kind of a dark album, incredible production. Eddie's guitar work is amazing. His tone is incredible. Top-notch performances on the album by everybody. Mean Street, Unchained. It's a classic. Coming in at number 4 is Van Halen 2 from 1979. In my opinion, Van Halen 2 is an incredible follow-up to Van Halen 1, which is one of the most influential and important rock albums of all time. Not one bad song on this album. I can listen to the whole thing front to back. Okay, number 3 on the list is 5150 from 1986. This is the first album featuring Sammy Hagar after David Lee Roth left. I listen to this album all the time. It's my favorite Sammy album. I know that a lot of people don't like the Sammy albums, but the way I look at it is I almost see them as two different bands. The sound that they had with David Lee Roth was completely different than the sound they had with Sammy, and I like both eras equally. It just depends on my mood. Okay, coming in at number 2 is 1984's 1984. This is one of the first albums I ever purchased, or perhaps it was given to me as a gift, I don't remember. I believe I had the single Jump on record and the album on tape. A lot of people didn't really like this album at the time because it was a departure from the straight-up rock of the other albums. But I think that Eddie's guitar work on this is incredible, and I think he doesn't get enough credit for his incredible keyboard playing. He was an accomplished piano player. I believe that this album influenced rock music and other music that came after it. There are plenty of rockers on this album without keyboards, and I think overall it's an incredibly innovative album. I'm comfortable calling it a masterpiece. Okay, and coming in as number 1 as my favorite Van Halen album of all time is 1978's Van Halen 1. Van Halen 1 is a masterpiece. It is one of the most important and influential rock albums of all time. It changed the way people play guitar after that. It changed rock music and influenced an entire generation of musicians. Now, ironically, I probably don't listen to this album the most. I go through phases where I'll listen to like 1984 or OU812 for a month, and then I'll circle back to this or Van Halen 2 or Fair Warning. But here's the bottom line. If you told me I could only keep one of my Van Halen albums, it would be Van Halen 1. If I could only keep one album, this would be it. Okay guys, so that was my list of my favorite Van Halen albums ranked from worst to best. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your list in my comment section. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.